Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. So today I figured I would just do a quick little, response video again from the YouTube channel, the Plugged In TV Show. If any of you remember, I called them the softies because they do come off a bunch of softies, but they would just get scared just for the smallest amount of violence or whatever. Anyway, point being, they want for this particular video. It's not even a minute long, so it's fairly short, so it's fine. And this individual wants to talk about the budget when it comes to making Hollywood, as if he knows anything about making movies. Yes, making movies, that entire process is really complicated. It's frustrating, it can be really irritating, and that's putting it mildly. That severely understates the process of the filmmaking, sure. But it is frustrating. An understatement, but still. But anyway, of course, he wants to mention this because of Godzilla Minus One. Since that film only has, like, what, $15 million, which, yes, in retrospect, that does sound like a lot of money, but compared to movies like, let's say, The Matrix, Star Wars, Avatar, or even Star Trek, like the really popular franchises, that budget is minimal. It's teeny tiny, itty bitty. The film managed to look better than than a lot of the other movies, and that's the kind of point here. But it's still a bad take, really. This is a really bad take when it comes to budgets of made movies. So, with that being said, let's get into it.
Do you think there's a correlation between the amount of money spent on a movie and how good it is? Hey everyone, Adam Holtz here from
Okay, first of all, yes, a lot of people do have that misconception that if a film does have a lot of money, it's automatically good, which, no, that's a flat out lie. Because you can pour a truck ton of money into a film that does not equal to good quality filmmaking. You would think that, but no. It depends on the talent behind it. It depends how much the movie is going to use the money. It depends on what it's you being used for in a lot of ways. You think that's pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised.
Plugged In, and if you pay attention to movies, you may have heard all kinds of news just about incredibly ballooning budget.
Okay, well, what does that mean exactly? What do you mean? Give me some stats, some data to back that up. Yes, a lot of people have been saying that. That's true. They've been hearing this kind of news and whatnot. But again, get into detail. What I'm saying, he's being way too vague. Be specific.
It's like the Marvels supposedly cost $250 million.
How do you know that? No, seriously, how do you know that? The budget could, like, which Marvel movie you're talking about? Because Disney had helped Marvel to produce more than 30 movies of the expanded universe. So it's more than 30 movies of the expanded universe of Marvel. So what movie are you talking about? Which movie? Each individual movie is going to cost differently. Okay, some cheaper than the others, but yes, all of them will be expensive. Yes, all the movies have big budgets, but that doesn't mean each one we have the same exact budget as the previous one or the next one. So, what do you mean? No, what do you mean? Seriously, what do you where are you getting this information from exactly?
And yet, on the other hand, every now and then a movie comes along that is made for a fraction of that amount.
Okay, you have to specify. You're not really giving examples. I know this is supposed to be leading up to Godzilla, the Godzilla Minus One, but the Godzilla movies were always low budget. They were always not counting the legendary Godzilla films, because the legendary Godzilla films are what American Godzilla films. But if I'm just going to talk about the Japanese stuff, they all have been low budget. They all have been relatively low budget. So that's nothing new there.
And people rave about it. And the most recent example I can think of is Godzilla Minus One.
And yet, a lot of you Christians, maybe not him specifically, but a lot of Christians from the Christian community really can't stand the Japanese, like, at all.
Japan eagerly adopted the very racist and nasty eugenics protection law in 1948. Therefore, Japan quickly gained the unenviable position of claiming the highest abortion rate in the world by 1955. By 1955, get this. By 1955, get this, Margaret Sanger's agenda had been fully implemented. In Japan, by 1955, 55% of Japanese babies were aborted. That's over half of Japanese babies were aborted. And that's why Japan is the pioneering nation to destroy itself, to destroy its social fabric, and to eventually open itself up to being taken over by China, a much more populated nation. China will go after Taiwan first, then after Japan, and these nations that have bought into the Western corrupted worldview that has such a capacity to destroy nations. Friends, I'm telling you, the most dangerous worldview in the world is not Hinduism. It's not Buddhism. You see, what is it? It's what is taught in American public schools and presented in American media and culture. It's the culture that is destroying these countries around the world. It's deadly. It's toxic. It's undermining entire nations. It's the existentialism. It's the socialism. It's the birth control, abortion, pro-homosexual, breakdown of the nuclear family, not just in America, but other nations around the world. This is what is destroying Japan. This is what is destroying South Korea. This is what is destroying the world right now. So, again, it won't surprise me if Japan is taken over by China within the next 20 years. Wouldn't surprise me one little bit. China has its problems, but remember, it's still 10 to 15 times larger than Japan.
See, that's what I'm talking about. People like Kevin Swanson, would intentionally spread propaganda against the Japanese because they speak different, they look different, the culture's different, everything about them is different than the American culture. Even though, yeah, it's like American culture is supposed to be like a cesspool about for everybody, I guess. But we all know, but it still feels different compared to Japanese, which in itself is fine. I'm not trying to use that as a way to talk trash about the American culture. Of course not. However, the Japanese is still different in a lot of ways, and that's fine too. But people like Kevin Swanson don't like the fact that the Japanese don't believe in the God, at least the vast majority of them. So he's bringing up abortion and all that. I mean, that's not his entire podcast, by the way. I'm just bringing a portion of it, bring a point. But holy Christ almighty. Yeah, because, Jesus and his people are being attacked. I don't know since when, but okay.
$15 million. I think Disney can't even make a commercial for $15 million, let alone a movie.
Fuck off. You're just saying that just to take a jab towards Disney because a lot of you Christians, yeah, even from your own YouTube channel, cannot stand Disney because, oh no, gay folk. Well, case in point, from your very own channel.
It talks of self-sacrifice and looking for good beyond a rough exterior. But you've probably also heard that the film's director stated that this pic features Disney's first quote-unquote gay moment. And indeed, there are some mild but unfortunate elements included here that are being used to make an activist statement. They might require some parental explanation at the very least.
Geez, all I suggested was that you were scum and you should all be executed. Gah!
Yeah, homophobia in this time and age. Yay, I guess. Christ, you guys are a bunch of hypocritical people. Yet you act like you're the victim when you actually trying to persecute people who are different. Okay.
And yet critics and audiences alike are raving about it.
Again, who is doing that? Who? Who is doing that? Who exactly is doing that? What critics? What audience? Yes, I know that Godzilla -1 has received somewhat positive feedback, a lot of positive reviews. So much so that a sequel to it has been announced from the Toho company, the company that made these films originally. I'm aware of that. But again, the problem here, this individual is being too broad. He's being way too vague. He isn't specifying on anything.
Do you think there's a correlation between the amount of money spent on a movie and how good it is?
Well, yes, I would prefer my low budget stuff because if you look at my channel, a good chunk of stuff I review are very low budget movies, very low budget. So that's the vast majority of movies I tend to watch, I tend to enjoy. But even then, I would still argue that it depends on the execution. It depends on the talent. It depends on who's directing it. It depends on so many factors, not just the budget, really. I mean, yes, I will give big budget movies the benefit of the doubt, even though I personally don't really care for them, really. But anyway, that aside,
And why do you think maybe embracing those smaller budgets is leading to better movies and maybe even better storytelling?
you could have a point there, but piss off anyway because you just saying all that. You're using Godzilla minus one to take a jab at Disney. So if anything, it just comes off one of your run up the mill anti Disney films, movie, video, talking, discussion type stuff. What are you doing here? And that's about it. So yeah, that's where it ends really. So as always, thanks for watching. Take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh yeah. This was so stupid. It's so dumb.